Scandal, shock, the collapse of the century, and all this in the heart of the Dnieper. Where yesterday stood a proud railway giant, today a jagged hole gapes in the country's fate. No one expected the backbone of military logistics to snap in a matter of seconds. But that's exactly what happened. The city went about its normal life. Calm skies, serene weather, silence on the surveillance monitors. Trains were scheduled to cross the bridge, carrying fuel and military equipment, as if through the veins supplying the body of war. Everything seemed perfect until a dull thud from below, as if the river itself had decided to tear the main artery from the people's hands. A few dozen seconds later, the western part of the bridge folded and collapsed into the water. No flashes, no smoke, no invisible traces of the attack, only a frightening silence and the trembling of the earth. The first eyewitnesses whispered, "Collapse." But satellite images instantly cast doubt on everything. Insiders claim the strike was precisely calculated down to the millimeter, timed in advance, and aimed at the very heart of the structure. It wasn't an accident, but a show of force. The bridge across the Dnieper was long considered just another technical detail in a vast transportation network, but in reality, it was the heart of the country's entire military logistics. Every fuel train, every equipment train, every minute of the schedule depended on its stability. The strike occurred precisely when the flow was at its peak, as if someone knew every traffic schedule down to the second. Insiders claim it wasn't an accident or a collapse due to metal fatigue, but a meticulously calculated operation, where every action was calibrated down to the millimeter. As the sun rose, the engineers saw a sight that took their breath away. Enormous sections of the bridge hung over the river like the broken bones of a vast organism. The massive beams looked as if they had been severed with an invisible scalpel. Experts were shocked. No flashes, no smoke plumes. Just a brief 3-second blip on radar screens. Rumors immediately began to circulate about a ghost drone, a new weapon that could fly low over water, jam surveillance systems, and disappear without a trace. The result was catastrophic. Traffic along the entire line came to a standstill, trains stopped at alternate stations, and dispatchers received alarming messages. Reception stopped, routes undefined, awaiting orders. In the rear, this looked like a system failure, but at the front, the delay of each convoy meant a loss of initiative. Now every delivery was a lottery. Would it arrive or would it be stuck for dozens of hours? There were virtually no alternative routes. The nearest major bridge was too far away, and the roads wouldn't be able to handle the redirected flow. This is why the incident is no longer considered sabotage, but a provocation that exposed the weakest point of the entire military machine. One precise strike, and the enormous mechanism lost its rhythm overnight. The world held its breath as the first images of the destroyed bridge hit the news feeds. For some, it was a shock. For others, an alarming signal that the war was entering a new phase. Social media exploded. Thousands of comments, emotional videos, panic questions. People wrote that for the first time, they felt not just the danger of the front, but the vulnerability of the entire country. When a single point turns a powerful system into chaos, politicians began to speak loudly and nervously. Some demanded an immediate investigation and the search for the mole who leaked the schedules. Others accused their opponents of using weapons of the future. At an emergency briefing, government representatives tried to maintain a calm tone, but journalists noticed their voices were shaking and their answers were vague. And this only added fuel to the fire. International publications were divided in their assessments. Some wrote about a major turnaround in the war, others about the most cunning attack on logistics in history. European analysts warned that this was only the beginning and that similar strikes could paralyze even more strategic hubs. American military experts called the collapse a nightmare scenario for any 21st century army. Even in Asia and the Middle East, reports of the event were splashed with headlines, as if this were not a local tragedy, but a global threat. The mood on the streets grew heavy. People discussed not so much the bridge itself as its symbolic significance. If this one collapses, then everything could collapse, passers-by said. And within hours, this phrase became a meme. Rumors within the country multiplied. Some claimed it was treason, others saw the hand of foreign intelligence agencies in the collapse, and still others were certain it was a test of a new weapon that could not yet be countered. This mixture of panic, mistrust, and conspiracy theories became the main consequence of the attack. Official versions were drowned in a sea of speculation, and each new rumor only heightened the tension. Thus, the provocation, which began with a collapse of concrete and metal, turned into a psychological blow, as shocking as the physical destruction. The longer experts analyzed the details of the incident, the louder the rumors and speculation grew. Some spoke of a new secret development, a ghost drone seemingly